Okay. So, uh, before I start complaining about, all the things that grind my gears tonight, I want to clear something up. Last week, when I opened the stream, I talked about not picking fights where they're not needed and maintaining professionalism at all times. And someone said to me on Thursday, I think it was Thursday. It doesn't matter. One of the days this week. No, you're fighting with someone right here. What are you doing? So I feel like I need to clarify something. I'm not telling you to lie down and take people's abuse. I'm telling you that there is a difference between starting a fight and finishing a fight. If you notice, I give people the benefit of the doubt up front, but I will never, ever just sit there and take abuse. And there's a way to do this while maintaining the professional and steadfast image of a communist. That's what I meant by proletarian professionalism, right? Not some soft PMC professional thing, but a professional demeanor while carrying out your work, the embodiment of resolve and steadfastness. That's a big difference. What I was telling you last week was not to be weak, it was to be smart. Just remember this. What we do in the aggregate is going to define the perceptions of what a communist is in America moving forward from here. If people see us running around acting a fool all the time, then we'll be seen as fools, right? If they see us, picking fights constantly, then they'll see us as combative or as self-righteous bullies. Think of it this way. We do not go out of our way to bother anyone. We do not start fights. But if you bring a fight to our doorstep, you'd better be ready for what comes next, because we will not stop until we achieve victory. And the party is ride or die, period. If you fuck with one of us, then you fuck with all of us. I would die for this cause, and that means that I will put myself between you guys and harm. Now, pay attention to how I said that. I will put myself between you and harm every time. I won't go find harm and bring it to you. But if it comes for you, it has to deal with me first. That is party life. That is the life of a communist. It's a life of duty and a life of struggle and a life of responsibility. And that's not just me. This is all of you, every member of our party. And that sort of view of all of us together, of the collective unit we are actively becoming, that builds up slowly over time as people see us, without them, even really noticing that it's happening. It all happens in the subconscious, in the background, right? Remember that what you happen to be doing at any given time is always part of a general trajectory, right? And something larger, that nothing's just separate like that. Everything is connected and mutually determined. Even this more sort of background buildup, right, that I'm talking about, that's connected to each empirical thing you're doing on the ground as you're doing it. Whether you're, serving your communities or organizing your workplace, whatever it is, how you carry yourself must at all times be with both the strength and dignity befitting the tradition that you were a part of. Put it simply, as I throw my pen on the ground. Walk the walk rather than just talking the talk. So that's that, right? Now, I got two things I need to complain about tonight. I guess that when I don't do a stream all week, they pile up on me. And I apologize for that, by the way. You may have noticed that I'm kind of sunburned here. I've been up on the roofs of condos all week for 10 or 12 hours a day, putting up siding and trim. And then even worse, once that was done, we had to paint and stain it, right? And the trim was in white. So we were basically creating a hyper reflective surface for the sun to bounce off of and just beat the snot out of us, man. So I kind of just fell into my front door each night when I got home from work. Honestly, I was kind of lucky I made it that far. So yeah, work sucks. What are you gonna do, right? The first thing is actually kind of related to that, and it's really just grinding my gears down like crazy right now. You know, when you're at a work event, right, and they get food or drinks or whatever for everybody, like not like a big company picnic or something, but one of those forced fun events where they make everybody come. And you're not getting paid, but you got to be there anyway. And then they gaslight the shit out of you by pretending that it's this fun, cool event where everyone actually wants to be. Though, yeah, those in general, right? They suck, right? But worse, they never get enough food for everybody to have a meal, you know? Like you can eat, but if you're hungry, it's not enough. It really isn't. That's always been a problem, but it's an even bigger problem during economic crises and when the price of food skyrockets the way it has been. And then there's always this sort of unspoken battle for whatever the best food at the buffet is, right? And you kind of sprint to be the first in line in order to make sure you get some, right? But even when you do that, you got to leave enough for everyone else to have some, even though you just want to make yourself a big old pastrami sandwich or whatever, you know? So we did one of those at my work recently. And I was busy actually, you know, working while they were setting up. Crazy, right? Working at work. Anyway, so while I'm working, this one dude who nobody really likes piles all the fucking pastrami up on this giant sandwich, leaving nothing but scraps for all the rest of us. And look, I know we all want to do that, but we don't. It's bad fucking form. Have a little class, Derek. Jesus Christ. And it's been like, that day was a bad day, man. My entire crew was hot and irritated and tired. And this was just kind of the last straw for me. So I went over to Derek while he was eating and I waited for him to grab his fork and shovel some baked beans into his wormy lips. What? He's got worm lips. Sorry, that's not my problem, is it? And so as he does that, right, I grab his sandwich off his plate and I dump all the pastrami back into the serving platter. Derek was, you know, mad, obviously, but what was he going to do? Gnaw me with his worm lips? Probably not, right? Anyway, end of the story is that my crew had pastrami and Derek didn't. So don't be a dick. Don't take all the pastrami or I will take it back from you. That's called redistribution, God damn it. Sorry, I'm stupid. I guess the second thing I want to talk to you about, though, is a little more serious, right? And it's just something I notice from time to time. Did you know that in all the time that I've been studying Marxism, I've never met a single person who said that they were an anti-communist and who told me they could debunk Marxism or communism or whatever that actually knew what these things are? I'm just struck by this sometimes. I get so many people who want to, you know, debate me. Then they spend the entire time insisting that Marxism is something it's not and basically turn me into their free Marxism tutor before I even realize what's going on. And I'm just like, damn, man. If you want to debate something, shouldn't you at least know the very basics about it? Just at least the very, very first baby's first steps kind of thing, right? The other day, someone couldn't even get beyond just saying Marxist hypothesis at me in this super vague way and talking about how they always fail an application, right? And I'm sitting here like scrolling through pictures of communist China going, I don't know, man. I'm not seeing what you're talking about here. I'm not seeing any failures. What are these failures you're talking about? And what are the hypotheses while we're at it, right? And he couldn't answer, right? He'd give me some vague, I'm talking about the hypotheses in Marxism. And I'm like, yeah, I know that's your vague category, but I'm utterly baffled as to what that category could possibly have within it. Like, what are you referring to? Why don't you tell me? And so he goes, well, I'm referring to the hypotheses of Marxism. And I'm like banging my head against my desk, like, look, just once, for the love of all that is fucking holy, can we get some critique that actually addresses the subject matter? And maybe someone who isn't afraid to respond to a single thing I actually fucking say, rather than just reading some stupid script at me that wasn't even correct back in 1988 when it got written. I can't fucking take it anymore. Just High
Sheriff Hazard is a hard man to be. High Sheriff is his only plan. He digs through pockets, takes what he can, for he's High Sheriff Hazard. He caught me one evening, and here's what he said: you look like a Russian, you look like a red, and if you're fond of your skin and your head, beware the High Sheriff of Hazard.
What's up, everybody? I'm Noah, and this is Noah's show. But let's all be serious for a minute. It's actually Sebastian's show. He's just like killing it with these thumbnails recently. If you guys saw, dude, you in the background with those burgers, man.
I just took it from the last thumbnail. Yeah.
Holy shit.
I stole them from prison commissary.
Well, it's what you got to do when you're, when you're locked up like us.
What's up, everyone?
What's up?
I apologize for my audio if it's messed up, but I'm upstate visiting my dad for this weekend, so I'll have to deal with these crappy headphones for now.
No, you're good, brother. You're good. I think it sounds great.
Also,
a lot of stuff happened over the week.
Yep, for sure.
While we were out, and I was being serious, guys. Like, I apologize. I'm really sort of obsessive about scheduling and sticking to a schedule once you make it. I think it's part of what makes you a dependable person, someone that you can that you can be counted upon, right? So when I said we were switching to Thursday, I meant it. But on Thursday, oh my God, dude, I'd worked 12 hours that day, and I chugged 2 energy drinks on my way home just so I could drive home. Because when you're working and it's like manual hard labor out in the sun all day, it just beats you up and saps your energy. And so I was just exhausted, like to the point where my eyes were burning, and And I like fell into my front door at my wife, and she's like, Jesus Christ, you need to get to bed. And I had to shower first because obviously I'd been sweating all. It was Thursday was not a good night for the Krachevik.
Yeah,
How
your
was your
health
week
is
though?
most important. It's been good. The Knicks are through. If anyone follows basketball, I had my cousin and my dad over. We just drank a couple beers and watched that. So that was fun. We haven't made the conference final since before I was born. So yeah, the city's been going crazy. And I
That's
actually just
exciting.
had a little point to add on to your point about
Well,
picking fights. If
before that, we got to talk about basketball because I haven't
oh yeah, for
followed
sure.
basketball since LeBron left Cleveland again.
Oh yeah,
Right?
yeah.
LeBron kind of single-handedly uh, was helping to restore Cleveland's economy.
Really? Wow.
Like you think that's a joke, but it's not a joke.
Does he still do stuff back there? Because he's from Akron.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And like my high school used to play his high school.
Oh,
Right?
cool.
St. Mary's where he
Mhm.
went. It's all very close. Akron's only like a 40-minute drive from here.
Oh, that's
So but yeah, he's like very involved in his community where he grew up. He built a school there, he funds it himself. It's very cool. He wasn't always like that.
cool.
I think he sort of got schooled that now that he's a public figure, he's an inspiration to kids, and he needs to act like. And he's shaped up, and it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
I mean,
Uh,
I think you have to have some sort of responsibility to your community, especially when you are such a global figure with that much money, you know?
oh, for sure, for sure. But so like I haven't followed the Cavs since we were good. We had a very big disappointment over last weekend, but
Yeah.
a whole nother bag of bananas. I managed to catch part of the Cleveland Guardians game, the baseball game
Oh,
yesterday. Though they were playing the Reds, so it's always like a toss up. You got to support the Reds, right? They're the Reds, but also the Cleveland Guardians are the home team. And I once here's a funny story for you. Jack, or Zach, please Zach. He was a pitcher for the Guardians, like right after they got rid of the old Indians and that kind of aesthetic and logos. He was a really good pitcher too. He lived in a condo right on the lake, on Lake Erie. And after he moved out, I was fixing it up for the owner who
oh,
was attempting to re-rent it, right? There were like some like cracks in the ceilings and just minor home maintenance stuff. He wanted a lot of painting done, which my company does a lot of painting. We do all the finishing trades
mhm.
because there had been a fire next door, right? But oh, the story. This isn't even the tip of the iceberg on the story. This guy is like typical rich douchebag, right?
The
Like
owner of the property?
of the property, yeah. Um, like he's like counting my breaks and the minutes I took outside.
No way.
Um,
With a stopwatch and
for real. And like the whole time he's like setting up some OnlyFans knockoff site on his phone while I'm in this house working.
oh
Right?
my god.
And he's doing like rude stuff like cooking salmon in the microwave and other like annoying stuff, right? But so he kept trying to get me to go there early. And it was at a time when I couldn't. I needed to start at 8 because I had work at the shop, like kind of steward type duties before that, right? So every single day, can you show up early? Can you show up early? Can you show up early, Noah, please? And so finally I acquiesce. I show up there at 6:30 and I'm like, make sure you're available or the door is unlocked or I can get in the garage or whatever. I ring the doorbell, nothing. I call, nothing.
Typical.
I email, nothing. Go back and ring the doorbell again, nothing. I call 5 times in a row because I'm not going home. It's 5 minutes from my house, but I'm not going home. Fuck that. He got me out here. I'm going to work, right? I'm set up. I got my tool belt on and everything. He finally comes down to the door, literally
Is he
40
mad at
minutes.
you?
Well, check this out. hold on. He comes down to the door literally 40 minutes late in nothing but a suit jacket.
What?
Nothing but a suit
At
jacket
7
that he's
a.m.?
trying to like pull over to cover up his junk. And I'm standing there like, dude, you made me wait 40 minutes. You couldn't make me wait 20
41.
more seconds to pull on some fucking pants. And this isn't even the end of the story. So I look in, and I don't want to give any names away, but I look into who this guy is, right? Because he's like a big deal, old money type,
Slumlord?
like heir of some fortune. And this guy, there is a family of a young girl who is deceased now, who insists that he murdered their daughter.
Jesus Christ.
He, when he was in his 40s, took her as an underage girl, 17, on his yacht, and she disappeared on the lake.
Yeah, I mean, if he's
Drove-
setting up that bullshit on his phone, I'm not surprised at all. He's at least a degenerate.
Yeah, definitely a degenerate. Like, what kind of 40-year-old man brings a 17-year-old child on
Yeah.
their yacht and is giving him booze and blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah?
Jesus Christ.
Now, even if she fell off, right, it's still his fault. He's the
Oh, yeah.
responsible adult there. But guess what? He's a rich douchebag, so he doesn't go to prison.
Yeah.
He is instead creating this OnlyFans knockoff. It's unreal that, like, this is a type of people who are in our ruling class, guys. And like, the reason I wanted to tell that entire story and kind of give you a view of him personally is because this is how they are. This poor child that died because of him, whether he killed her outright or was negligent and allowed her to die. She doesn't register as a human being to him. Neither did I. It's why he could just cook salmon in the microwave and not give a fuck, right? That's symbolic of something deeper.
Mhm.
That's why he, begged me to come there early and then stayed in bed for 40 minutes, making me wait outside in the cold. Anyway, yeah, that's my story.
I wouldn't
We were
imagine
going to talk
it
about
weighing his
something.
conscience at all. Yeah, I just had you mentioned picking fights, something about picking fights at the start of your rant, and I just had something to add on to that. I just think that an important consideration is the optics of your response in particular, because like it's imperative to defend ourselves against baseless attacks, but we must do it in a way that makes us appear that we're communists with substance, and they're just nonsense larpers or whatnot. And if we don't respond, this too has real implications, because there are so many people that get their opinions formed by just secondhand information, these videos like that Torres guy put in. And it's a lot easier to look at a Reddit post and sort of us sit on a high horse and expect that our own work is going to speak for itself, and it does to a certain extent, but we can't just let them lie on our name.
No, you can't. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, the work is what matters, right? But this is part of the work, really. The information war, or what Gramsci would have called the war of positions, right? This is a form that the war of positions takes in the 21st century, and it's very intensive and complicated because of the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be aware of that. What I was saying is true. Look, we need to be ride or die for the party. I wasn't just, being hyperbolic. Like, if there is harm coming to you guys, I'm there in the way. We all have to roll like that. I don't know.
Yeah. And it's really annoying because we do so much good work, and all it takes is one little Reddit post for them to form their whole opinion on us. But yeah, I don't know. We just have to stick to it.
Yeah, it's like, here's the thing. There's people with loud voices on the internet and people without loud voices, right? And those people without the loud voices, a lot of the times they have emotional issues. They have problems. I mean, a lot of the people that attack and lie about the party, do so because of their own emotional issues,
Mhm.
right? Like it's nothing that we've done. The problem is in their brain.
Yeah.
And you know, I feel bad for that, and I feel bad for their family for having to deal with that.
Mhm.
But at the same time, um, an attack's an attack,
Yeah.
right? If someone is crazy and shoots at the president, it's no different than when they shoot at the president for a political reason.
Yeah. And your point about the information war is absolutely correct. I mean, this applies to stuff like patriotism as well, but generally speaking, if it's important to the ruling class, it should be important to us as well. There are so many there's so many ideas and battlegrounds that we concede completely for no reason whatsoever. I mean, if the ruling class finds it important to fly military jets over football games, I think they've recognized that patriotism, or in their case nationalism, is a very important tool to galvanize for their own ends.
Mm. And you know, that brings up a good point, Sebastian. Like when we speak of patriotism, we need to recognize something that um, what the ruling class does when they, you know, fly jets over football games, or what the Workers' Party of Korea does when they have the parades with all of the military hardware and the missiles and the tanks, right? Is galvanize a feeling that the working class has within it,
Hmm.
right? And the forces that they, and that feeling, before I get to that, that feeling is patriotism. It's love of your home, right? It's wanting to be proud of where you come from and the people you're a part of, right? And that's a very powerful, deeply embedded feeling within the proletariat, no matter where they're from. Now, the ruling class uh, tries to bring out this feeling in people in order to direct it in certain ways,
Hmm.
right? And there are ways that go against that feeling itself, right? The support of a war, for instance. Now, on the surface, we could say, oh, well, we want to win. We don't want Americans to die. If it comes to war, therefore, we must always root for America in the war, right? But when we begin to analyze that and whether that war is actually good for Americans, um, it makes us recognize the fact that true patriotism would be against the wars that our ruling class is fighting now. Now, this isn't always the case. Think of World War II, right? But right now, it absolutely is,
Hmm.
because these wars aren't fought to defend the world from fascism the way World War II was.
Hmm.
These wars are fought to line the pockets of the elites, the ruling class, right? So, and how do they do this? They do this through taxing us, through grabbing working class people to fight for them and die for them all so they can get richer. All of it, all the way down in imperialism is the ruling class taking from us,
Hmm.
taking from people all over the world and lining their own fucking pockets. That's all it is, right? And so this aligns us in the patriotic position with the countries that our government and ruling class are attacking. Because at that point, what's good for them is good for us, which is an end to the war. No Americans are dying, no Palestinians are dying, no Russians are dying, etc. But more importantly, or not more importantly, but just as importantly, the ruling class is not robbing us in order to fund it and make more money.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people can be convinced on these issues. It realistically comes down to the ruling class taking advantage of people wanting, generally speaking, to just be comfortable and not think about anything, and they invent these boogeymen to tell them that there's an active threat. And I mean, how else do you justify to these people that we need to have 800 military bases around the world? But it's up to us to explain that real patriotism is not wanting to see your fellow Americans die for absolutely no reason, outside of enriching their own pockets. And it's not a task that we can succeed in without taking patriotism for ourselves. If we just indulge ourselves in national nihilism, I mean, how are we going to reach out to them? How are they going to care about what the hell we have to say? They're not.
Precisely. And speaking of that kind of thing, an old friend of ours got into some trouble recently.
No, yeah.
Knows a
Hasan
little
Piker.
fraction of what the Communist Party feels, I think, at this point. If you guys haven't been paying attention to mainstream media, good for you, first of all. But second, Hasan Piker, famed political Twitch streamer Hasan Piker, was recently detained while coming back into the country from France by Homeland Security. Now, I have always been skeptical of this man. I'm skeptical of everyone in his class. I will say this: on the surface, he advocates against genocide. That's a good thing, right? That's a very good thing. He's in the correct position on this, and the patriotic position. Imagine that. Now, I want to sort of put this in perspective. But first, you know what? Should we bring it up, Sebastian, and kind of go through the article about it?
Yeah, the Guardian article. We can scroll through it really quickly.
All right, let me do that. Let's get to
But yeah, basically the background was that he got detained, and according to him, they knew information about what he did and who he was, and they were just asking about what he does and his stance on Israel-Palestine.
Yeah. All right. Well, I got this ad here. Sorry, guys. If anyone wants to go to Bob Evans, straight up, Bob Evans is delicious. I don't care what anyone says. So the headline is left-wing pundit Hasan Piker says U.S. border agents grilled him on Trump and Gaza. It's a little more complicated than that, I guess. So here's what he says. He was stopped by U.S. Customs and Border Protection and questioned about his opinions on Donald Trump and the Israeli war policy as he returned to the country on Sunday from France. Now, keep in mind, he's coming home from France, not, Lebanon, not Palestine. But I find it interesting that the DHS is asking him his opinion on Israel. Isn't this America? Why would that be a question DHS asks? Just putting it out there, right? He said on Monday on his stream that he was led to a private room at O'Hare and interviewed for nearly 2 hours about his political views. Now, I said that he's feeling a fraction of what the ACP gets. 2 hours is nothing. Anytime we come back into the country, it is at least 4 or 5. Not only that, they steal our technology. They go through our phones, all of that. So I hope you can empathize a little bit at this point, Hasan. But what he says is the goal here is to put fear into people's hearts, to have a chilling effect on speech like the government is unafraid of intimidating you. Does this stop me from saying whatever the fuck I want to say? Of course not. Don't be ridiculous. But the reason why I wanted to talk about it was to give you more insight into what the government is doing and to speak against this sort of stuff. Now, I wish he would have spoke against it when it was happening to the actual organized Communist Party. I hate how it can take a personal experience like this to speak up about these issues. You know what I mean? Now, he goes on. I'm just kind of summarizing for you guys what it says here. He was in France with his family to celebrate Mother's Day, right? But he says, I think they did it because they know who the fuck I am and they wanted to put the fear of God into me. That's a very, very common tactic. Now, it seems kind of silly on the surface, but think about it. Think about it. It's reminding you who is in charge and that you are being watched. They know who you are. They know where you are. They know what you're doing and what you're saying. And at any time, they can take you aside and do what they want. And that is the message here. He's not wrong about that. However, Tricia McLaughlin, a spokesperson for Homeland Security, said, quote, "This is nothing but lying for likes." Claims that his political beliefs triggered the inspection are baseless. Our officers are following the law, not agendas. And she added, upon entering the country, this individual was referred for further inspection, a routine lawful process that occurs daily and can apply for any traveler. Once his inspection was complete, he was promptly released.
I wonder if he had a bunch of camera equipment with him, which could have, signaled to them that they should make a random search. And I think the real pertinent thing is whether or not he was targeted. The fact that they're asking this stuff at all should raise some alarms and put stuff into perspective for him. I mean, we've reached out countless times and
Yeah.
extended an olive branch. And if even after this, he doesn't realize how serious stuff is getting, I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's time for him to get down to business and stop running cover for the DNC.
I mean, you're not wrong. I think before, like, sort of like that though, I wanna go back into what actually happened.
Mhm.
Now, if it is like Tricia McLaughlin here says that it was random and routine, why are they asking him his opinions on Gaza and the president? That strikes me as rather strange. So that makes me want to believe what Hasan is saying here.
Mhm.
That said, listen to what Sebastian just said, Hasan. Things are getting real. They are heating up. They've always been real for the party. We're going to come to a point where there are people who are for the people and people who are against them. You're going to have to pick a side. You can't sit on the fence anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, glowing up Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who are genocidal Zionists, is unfucking acceptable for anyone who claims to stand on the side of the working class.
Yeah.
But
And
that can be in the past. Oh, 1 second, Sebastian. That can be in the past. As you see here, whether you like us or don't like us, they're going to treat you like they treat us now. So just keep that in mind, that we are here to help.
Mhm. Yeah, and it very well could have been possible that he was targeted, but if that's the case, that should be even more concerning because let's be frank, he doesn't really threaten the status quo. He's playing recuperator for the Democrats. If they're going after even people like him, people like Danny Shaw, who at least, had a more radical veneer, I mean, they're going after anyone with a voice and a camera at this point.
Well, Shaw was with the party at the time, even though he was secretly plotting against it. So, but no, like, if they'll even go after him after he aligns himself with the ruling class like that, so openly and brazenly, like, I wish I could just talk to this guy,
Mhm.
and be like, look, man, you see what they're doing. Like, the time for childishness and feeling safe is gone. Like, it's time to get real and get organized. With all that, and I hate to bring it back to money because, like, I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea. I don't want his fucking money or nothing like that. But with the kind of money this guy has,
Yeah.
he could be a boon to a cause, but he's not doing it, And I think Meg is saying something correct here. He's terrified of his own audience whose strings he has to play to secure his income. If he plays the song to the song wrong, basically he loses subs. That's true, but he's also independently wealthy.
Mhm.
So remember that. You know, like this guy didn't make a fortune streaming. He had a fortune and became a streamer. There's a big difference. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's just so frustrating because he in particular has so much potential to do great stuff. I mean, think about it. He would be the natural successor for what Bernie acted as in 2016. I mean, there would be no ACP fundamentally without Bernie Sanders and the experiences that people like Eddie and Carlos had with him. But to arrest your position there and to not move forward when the objective conditions demand for it is unacceptable.
Mhm. It's look, it's time to get real, and I've been saying this for a year now as things escalate. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse.
Mhm.
Like you can count on that. And so like I don't know. I don't want to beat a dead horse.
Yeah. Also, just one point. As stuff is going to get worse, it's doubly important for our party members, for our cadre to have discipline because they will look for any excuse to undermine you to get at you. So you must not give them anything.
Look, we used to say this all the time when we were really focused on the institute before the party and all that. Live beyond reproach.
Hmm.
The reason that the institute never really got attacked is twofold. Now we did a little bit, but one, we weren't a communist party, right? We were an institute providing education. We weren't really a political threat. We didn't have the capacity to be based on what we were. But two was we never gave anyone ammunition,
Hmm.
right? And that can be hard to do. It requires the dedication of a communist.
Absolutely.
I don't know. But
Well, I mean, that's how they got at the Black Panthers, you know? They had people committing petty crimes or whatever, and they blackmailed them. We can't let the same thing happen to us. We have to learn from past mistakes.
yeah, 100%. I mean, look, the theoretical errors of the Panthers aside, well, you can't really set it aside because it leads to this: an incorrect view of the lumpen proletariat. Right? They wanted to organize the gangs
Mhm.
and criminals. Now I'm not saying that like I don't feel bad for people that get reduced to crime. But it is not a segment of society with real revolutionary potential, just like Marx said.
Mhm.
They are the easily bribed tools of bourgeois intrigues. That's a quote, word for word, what Marx said about them. And that's exactly what we found out with the Panthers in real time as it was happening. Fred Hampton died because one of his close lieutenants, and I forget the guy's name. It's actually a really sad story what happened. He was never a Panther. He was an FBI informant who joined the Panthers in order to inform on them. Now, Hampton was such a good leader and he was learning so much that he got flipped while he was in the party and became a real communist, a real Panther, which is wild.
That's awesome. Well,
But the FBI still had him under their thumb. They had him. He was going to prison for life or some ridiculous amount of time if he didn't inform. And he gave them Hampton's location the night before. The FBI relayed that information to the Chicago Police Department. They went in and murdered him. His son barely made it out alive.
yeah.
They drugged him first, I think. But this guy, after this is all said and done, remains in the Panthers, works his hardest as it's falling apart after him and Newton are gone. And finally, when he admits what he did, killed himself. And this all happens before he made a transition to becoming a revolutionary. Before he thought to live above reproach.
Yeah.
And look what happened to him. They made a movie about this, by the way, brilliant movie called the what was it? The something Messiah? Judas and the Black Messiah, maybe?
I can look into it.
I forget. It was based on
Yeah, it seems like that's the movie. Yeah, Judas and the Black Messiah.
the Black Messiah was what the FBI called Fred Hampton. They were trying to prevent him becoming a Black Messiah. And they said
Wasn't
that
he
if,
only 21 when he died?
yeah, 21-year-old kid.
Yeah, it's insane. But it's a good lesson for us.
Yeah, and it happened because of a theoretical error that made them lax in their discipline. Right? Now they had to they tried to train these people. They tried to educate them. But because of that social relation they were within, this D-class position where they were forced into a life of crime, they were already embroiled in a condition of life where they were easily manipulated and controlled, whether they wanted to be or not. People think, you talk about being an agent of bourgeois intrigues, and it's like someone offers you money and you take it and do their dirty work. That's not usually how it works. You usually find yourself in a position where you have to do something you do not want to do. I don't know.
Yeah.
So learn these lessons, right? Make sure you are disciplined and professional. Make sure that you're living beyond reproach. I mean, that's what it takes. Look, we're in a movement that is going to extend past our lifetime. There's a really beautiful Chinese saying about this, and it's something like blessings on the farmer that plants a tree whose shade they will never sit in, or something along those lines. They have such poetic ways of putting things, the Chinese. I love it. But this is what we're doing. You have to be very selfless to be a communist, just by nature of what we're doing and how long it takes, right? Me personally, I do this so that my son doesn't have to struggle the way I have to, so that he doesn't have to waste his life and donate his body to some fucking spoiled parasite getting rich off his work, so he can work for himself. That's it. So he can live in a better world, one with a community that has his back. I don't know, man.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to tap into that idea of patriotism, the idea of community, that we're all in this together. We all have a shared history, and we want to see the future improve for each other. And that doesn't mean going back and aligning ourselves with Jim Crow. That means doing the opposite, aligning ourselves with the forces who have fought against the ruling class every step of the way. And I posted an article. I forgot the article, the author's name, Johanna Haddad or something, but it was like in defense of the MAGA communism strategy. And someone commented, why don't you guys, like, I understand your point, but why don't you guys just drop the A at the end and just do MAG and, drop the nationalism aspect? And it's like, you then divorce the form entirely. The point is to reorient this and then harness it for ourselves. The again in MAGA can just refer to our own revolutionary history that's lost its way.
Yep. I think, look, not to be too mean, a lot of people, they offer suggestions, but they don't even think through their suggestions first, and sometimes they do it from a good place, like your buddy here, right? Other times, not so much, right? Like people on social media who are like, you guys refuse to tokenize people, so you're all evil and reactionary, while not knowing what that means, right? If they would just think about what they're saying first.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think people understand what a difficult task, even maintaining an organization the size of the party right now is. It is no small feat, my friend, to like just demand that we toss all democratic procedures and protocols of collective sort of authority aside and just do what they think is right, having never even examined the thought, is just so egotistical. It blows my mind when people do that. But
Yeah.
we got a question from Justin here. It's a good one. He says, how do you guys believe those with a criminal record who paid their debt and became a better person through trying to form a tight-knit community can best contribute to the party? Well, they could run the finance department. It's what I did. It's what I do.
Yeah.
I don't really talk about this often anymore, but I am almost 19 years clean
Oh yeah.
from being addicted to heroin. I was addicted to heroin for about 5 years of my life. Horrible 5 years. And I did when I finally got clean, I sort of maybe, I don't know, I made myself a corny kind of promise that I would try to make up for the damage I'd done while I was using drugs. I mean, I was locked up. I was working for drug dealers. I would hurt people for money in order to get drugs. Like, I was not a good person, guys. I was literally like the epitome of lumpenized. And it took me a long time and a lot of very hard work to sort of claw my way back into the proletariat, to be a man I could be proud of, that I could, even just look my father in the eye again. Right. And it took a long time to get there. But today, like, I live for my family, my community, and my party and my country. I do, in my class, right? And I do that. Maybe it's some screwy way of like saying, well, if I add more good into the world, it can make up for the bad I did, even though it doesn't really work like that. That's how I began to rationalize it, but it turned into something more. It turned into dedicating my life to service and duty. And I take these things seriously because I know how terrible the opposite is.
Yeah. I mean, anyone can get pulled into various lifestyles like that through circumstance, but as Chase said, in order to be a real socialist man or woman, it requires a transformation of self anyway. We have to get to a point in which we can be people that we're proud of. And,
Yeah.
regardless of your past, the future is what's really important.
Yeah. I think, I mean, I say this all the time, and thank you, Justin. That means a lot, brother. Well done and congratulations.
Congratulations.
I just forgot what I was going to say. What were you saying?
I just said something about Che and the socialist new man, and then people's
Oh,
circumstances.
yeah. And I say this all the time, but look, it's easier to walk the walk than it is to talk the talk than it is to walk the walk,
Mhm.
right? To say and even think we're putting something above ourselves is easy. To genuinely do it and to live selflessly is difficult.
Mhm.
But it is a road that we all have to walk if we want real change.
Mhm.
And thank you, all of you guys, for your kind words. That means a lot. And
Yeah.
thank you, Michelle, for the 10. Appreciate you, Noah and MWN. May y'all discuss how historic socialist countries handled individual craftsmen and entrepreneurs, because various so-called socialists seems to disagree on their roles and fates. Now, I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about here. If you're talking about like a small business type thing, I mean, we can look right now at what's happening in China or in Cuba or in Vietnam or any of the other communist countries, right? it's interesting to me that libertarians think so one-sided, right? They can't see the resolution beyond the contradiction, that it is only in a strong, large, and people-focused state that is able to defend against monopolization and the establishment of, well, for lack of a better word, an establishment, right? An economic order that will put its individual interests above everything else. The reason that you see a thriving small business sector in China is because the Communist Party has made that happen. And they hold giant corporations in check. Look what happened to Jack Ma when he got out of line. Jack Ma began information war maneuvers, really, against communism. Whether he was wording it like that or not, that's what he was doing. He was talking about market liberalization and wanting to dominate his field. Then he disappeared for like 4 months. And he came back. And he was nothing but praise for China, glory to the people and the party, etc. Now imagine if we could send Bezos away for a few months and have him come back and put $1 billion towards small startups, right? That is what the American Communist Party can bring, and eventually to create the conditions where that doesn't need to happen at all. But we are where we are. The real world is the real world. And thank you for the 5, Justin. Thank you very much, brother.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think, Sebastian?
Well, also, if you look at the natural conclusions of things, under this system, people just get bought out, people get outcompeted.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're at a point in socialist construction where the means of production are sufficiently automated, for instance, and the rents are sufficiently low, I can't see why that wouldn't then foster a situation in which you have genuine, professionals and handcraftsmen again, because they don't need to, work to outcompete things if they have their needs taken care of. You can have people do that just because, they're good at it and they want that to be their profession.
Marx, in his critique of the Gotha program, he doesn't really get into this, and he does in some of the economic manuscripts, but they're like in notes and bits and pieces. But it's almost begun to be fleshed out, where he talks about only when we get to this like sort of stage where we've overcome scarcity, can the conditions for really doing the sort of labor you find fulfilling be established. And he talks about how he could, and it no longer has to define you. You become less an alienated human, missing a part of your humanity because someone else owns it, and more a full human being who can, criticize or farm or cobble or whatever it is that he says, as you see fit. And it brings up a good point that we're along the road, well along the road there from where Marx was. Because when we speak of handicrafts and the old guilds system, this was a whole form of production, right? By hand, where you have one guy doing this. And it was before generalized commodity production and machine manufacturing in factories, et cetera, to get back to those kind of things, it's a whole different kind of product that we're talking about, because it's bought more for its use than its value, its exchange value. So it's like more of a specialty item. Oh, thank you, Bear, for the 10. Most people should take up your example on how to turn their life around. You're an incredible. Thank you so much, and a person and an outstanding communist. You guys are too kind. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Bear, and everyone else who's been saying these kind of things. I forget where I was now.
Yeah, I mean, I just have a final point if we want to move on to the NYU thing after this.
We should, yeah.
But yeah, it just becomes these people do these handcrafts not because they need to, you know, have subsistence. They do it because out of a genuine love, and because they want to provide something for their community that's of high quality. I mean,
Mhm.
we have automated production. Maybe we'll have super high quality items, but first and foremost, everyone will just have items. Everyone will have their needs taken care of, and there's no reason why these communities can't have specialized handcraftsmen to just take care of their neighbors, people around them.
Yeah, and you know what it makes me think of? Uh, I have a weakness for hipster food. Look, let's be real. There's one thing hipsters do better than everyone else, and it's food.
An
We can look
artisanal
at.
burger.
I actually have a buddy who began with a burger food truck and now owns like 4 brick and mortar restaurants out in
Hell yeah.
California. They're awesome. It's like a theme thing. It's very cool. Um, but think about like Orlando and Schwabels and these giant bread corporations, these baked good corporations, right? Now compare that to the hipster bakery in the cool part of town.
Yeah, the
That
bread I
hipster
get is never
bakery
crispy.
bread is a different type of bread, and I go for it every time
Yeah.
because I like the bread. It's just that like bread's a weakness of mine, but um but dude, it's just better.
Yeah.
And all of
100%.
their stuff is better. I mean, I don't eat like sweets really. Like yogurt's the sweetest I'll get, but um even their like rolls and stuff like that just so good.
No, 100%. When I go to like a big store like ShopRite or whatever, their bread, their baguettes, their rolls are always soft. Like I kind of need like a crispy loaf of bread.
Yes. It's that soft chemicalness that
Yeah.
it's just like there's one, you know what? There is one thing that those are okay for, and it's peanut butter and jelly
Oh
sandwiches.
yeah.
Right? You need that soft bread for the PB and J's.
Mhm.
Like you can't do that on like good bread.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
even the Giant Eagles near me have their like artisanal bakery that mimic the hipster stuff. Uh, I used to have this like awesome hipster butcher shop
Mm,
in Cleveland. It was a little bit of a drive, but not much of one. They closed down,
yeah.
unfortunately, but I would go there and it was a little more expensive, right? But it was just that much better than the chemical filled, preservative filled meats you'd get at a regular grocery store. And I remember, uh, so after my father passed away, we would always do holidays at my parents' house, my whole family, right? And pops and it wasn't even just my family, it was like the community. Everyone loved my dad. You guys have no idea. He was a very popular guy in our community. uh Very, very much a role model for me. um but he would always go all out for Christmas, right? And do like different stuff, like sometimes turkey, but sometimes he would do like prime rib or like crazy. And I wanted to do a London broil, right? And so I went down to this hipster butcher shop to ask them about it, and they gave me this like awesome cut of meat and beef tallow to cook it with, and like hooked me up. Took the time out of their day to like teach me how to cook this properly,
Hell yeah.
and like how to make a rub correctly and like all this stuff. And I wanted to do this because it was the first Christmas after my father had passed away. So I wanted to, still give that Christmas to everyone, right? And because this hipster went out of her way to be so nice and help us out, it went well. And since then, we've done Christmas at my house. Unfortunately, that means I inherited a huge chore, but it was worth it. It was
Yeah,
worth it. So
totally.
yeah.
I mean, that's the stuff that really fosters community. Because I mean, these big distributors, they're not going to go out of their way to do anything like that. And I mean, I grew up. I was born in a Hungarian community, and after the financial crash happened, I mean, stuff can't sustain itself. The butcher shuts down, people lose their properties, everyone moves out, it's done. People just
Yup.
get priced out, and that's the future that we're trying to hold on to.
And this butcher shop is gone now.
Hmm.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Like this butcher shop made my family's Christmases better forever, right? And it allowed us to continue on a tradition we'd always have after the man who really created the tradition was no longer with us. And they're gone now. And that is because of capitalism.
Yeah. Hmm.
Like these monopolies, and it drives me crazy how like libertarians and people that blindly defend it never think about these things, right? That it's not government regulation that drove this hipster butcher shop under, right? It's not government regulation at all. It's the fact that they cannot compete with giant international monopolies.
Hmm.
They
And
can't. And like they were in this area that was sort of getting they were trying to sort of what's the word where the rich people all come in?
gentrification.
Gentrify. They were sort of trying to gentrify it.
Yeah.
And these hipsters, as hipsters are wont to do, helped fight against that while they were there. Like it's just sad to me that like people don't think about this stuff because they stick to scripts they're giving and think what they're told to think.
Yeah. This is how neighborhoods die. I mean, in New York City, people get priced out, communities get destroyed, and no one really knows their neighbors anymore. I mean, it's just a
Mhm.
bunch of like PMC, like tech people, a bunch of people who just like, I don't know, walk their dog and don't pick up the shit after them. And
No kidding, man.
that's just the type.
Pavel, thanks for the super chat, brother. He says, "Hi, how long are you streaming?" I don't know. It's a weekend, so I ain't waking up for work tomorrow. We could probably go a little late, but we are like almost an hour and a half in, and we haven't done the space yet. We got one more thing we want to get to before we open up the space. But actually, I can probably start it now and let people sort of
Yeah, let's start it
drift
and then
in.
just talk about the subject while people filter in, and then we can take.
Yeah. All right. Tell you what, why don't you introduce this subject while I do this, Sebastian?
Sure, yeah. So basically in graduation of one of these schools in NYU, the speaker, I'm not sure if they were the valedictorian or what, when they were delivering their speech, they basically said free Palestine and condemned their university's inaction, or I guess even their active action in, propping up Zionism effectively. Um, and afterwards, the reaction of the university was to withhold his degree, which I'm pretty sure they can't even do if he's fulfilled all the credit requirements. And now that they've done that, they're also threatening to prosecute him to take legal action as well.
And that is what's wild to me, dude.
Yeah.
By the way, the space is up, everybody, at Midwestern Marks on X. Go ahead and file on in.
Let me know
Let's
if
like really
you're.
pull up the space. If you guys have any questions, if you're a hater and you want to debate or critique me or whatever, get in the space. Now's your chance to do it. But if you are one of these people that's been like incessantly bothering me throughout the week, and I've told you don't talk at me, I want you to be afraid because I'm not going to allow you to do that when you're not hiding behind your keyboard. Just fair warning. I will trample you. But no, this is what scares me. Not only are they withholding this poor kid's diploma, they are threatening legal prosecution. And for what? For what? Right? For him standing against genocide.
Mhm.
That's wild to me. Let me make you. There you go.
Yeah, let me know when you're streaming it so I can mute myself so my audio isn't doubled.
Yeah,
But
sure. We already got someone like requesting to speak. Whoever's requesting, give us a minute because we're going over some news items first.
Yeah, and it's
Um,
particularly ridiculous, these schools like Columbia and NYU. And I mean, at least Harvard has stood up to them somewhat. But these schools are effectively exempt from paying property taxes. I mean, they paid some, I think 15 million in total, but they own millions of square feet in New York City, literal prime real estate, and they're exempt from all that shit because they're a 501c3 or whatever, or
mm,
503 or something like that. But a school like this, you can easily stand up to government repression, to them threatening to remove allocations of funds, because you guys have massive endowments you just sit your asses on and don't do anything with. You can fund yourselves. What are you charging 60,000 in tuition for, if not so you can stand up for yourself as an independent institution? I mean, clearly they haven't been all along, because of, the types of politics that they can allow being taught. But this should expose it to everyone. It should make it very, very clear.
no kidding. Before we go on, I just realized I'd been muted in the space. To whoever was requesting, just give us a minute before we get to you. We're going through some news items for the stream before we uh get into it, basically. So yeah, just give us a sec. That's all. Sorry. Anyway, we found this really good article about it, and it's got the perfect title. And this is what I liked about it. Beyond the fact that this lady right here, you see her, she looks exactly like the lady. Oh, she's gone now. There she is. She looks exactly like the lady from American Horror Story and American Crime Story and all that. Like, the lady that played Marsha Clark on the OJ trial, American Crime Story, which, by the way, if anyone hasn't seen that, watch it. It is so good. But I really like this title. NYU should be ashamed.
Mhm.
Absolutely spot on. And she's talking about this poor kid, Logan Rosas, who was at the NYU commencement speaker, right? And what he said on the stage is, as I search my heart today, the only thing that is appropriate to say in this time and to a group this large is a recognition of the atrocities currently happening in Palestine. Fuck yeah, good for you. Good for you, Rosas. Good for you. Students and faculty roared with applause while a smaller group booed. He continued, the genocide, he says, that's important, currently occurring is supported politically and militarily by the United States. It's paid for by our tax dollars and has been live streamed to our phones for the past 18 months. Now, read the next sentence. A few hours later, amid backlash from Zionist groups like End Jew Hatred, which is a wild thing to name your group. This has nothing to do about hating Jews. Look, did he say anything about hatred or Jews? No. That Zionists use this is absolutely disgusting, and it's promoted Hitlerism in America.
Mhm.
And people sort of get confused when we call Zionists Nazis, but this is how. This is how they're Nazis, right? They say that he misused his role as a speaker. Fuck you. You don't get to define his role. He does.
Mhm.
He was asked to speak. You are not. And he chose to stand on the right side of history, and you are not. Sorry, I get a little heated when it comes to this stuff, man.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. And to your point, Zionism is in fact the highest form of anti-Semitism, because a
Mm,
lot of these students themselves are Jewish. I mean, I remember walking through Grand Central Terminal, and there was a massive protest organized, and all of them are in like shirts that say Jews for Palestine or whatever. And it's like, to say that we're acting in your name, what are you equating Judaism with? You're equating it with genocide. That's
yeah.
that's absolutely anti-Semitic. And for him
And
to
by
stand up
saying
for it
that
is
they're acting on behalf of Judaism, they are creating anti Semitism.
exactly.
They are, we shouldn't have to even make the 2+2 connection that arch Zionist Elon Musk suddenly reinstates the X profile of the only real neo-Nazi political streamer there was, right? That's on purpose. They need these people and know they create them.
Yep.
So you guys have to think about that for a minute. Do they really care so much about anti-Semitism if they knowingly create it? And this is without getting into the 4chan data leaks, right? That showed us that 80% of the posts praising Hitler and neo-Nazism and all that on the poll board on 4chan had Israeli IPs. This is an op. And you know what's even crazier? All of the people who fall into the Hitlerism, the neo-Nazism, etc., that think Jews control all the world are literally being controlled by Zionists, who are, mostly Jews. The idea that they like are literally what they. I just sit with that irony, please, just for a minute. Sit with it.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, they benefit from this anti-Semitism because then they can just point to stuff like rising rates of anti-Semitism. But you look at like maps of Europe that have classified the rates of anti-Semitism increase since October 7th, and it varies wildly from country to country. And this was a map of Europe in particular, but I think it really underscores like the political nature of it because it's what they're classifying as anti-Semitism, and in a lot of cases, it's just criticism of Israel. They mark it as a case of anti-Semitism to say free Palestine, and what does this do, really? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Think of just everybody ask yourselves that question real quick. What does this do? Right? There's a famous. My dad always said this. What was Lenin's question? Cui bono?
Mm-hmm.
Who benefits?
Absolutely.
Who benefits? Anytime we're doing anything, thinking about anything, talking about anything, cui bono? Who benefits? And in this case, pretty obvious, right?
Yeah, and I mean, there's so many instances in which, like, if leftists would just ask themselves that question, they wouldn't get stuck up on all the shit that they do. I mean, if you're not acting in bad faith and you're looking at the stuff coming out of, for instance, Xinjiang, and you're seeing the development of their country and then contrasting that with what's happening in the Middle East, with what's being funded by Palestine, I mean, being funded by, the US, sorry, not Palestine, but you see development contrasted with terrorism that's being funded by our regime. And instead of, coming to the logical conclusion that China is fostering development, that they're benefiting these people. I mean, you have to just look at the fact that they have, 34,000 some odd mosques in their region. Their religious freedom is being protected. Their culture is being protected. They don't want that. Them calling for, regime change, or them calling for the ETIM or East Turkestan is in essence them calling for destruction and terrorism of these people's livelihood. I mean, it makes no sense to me. Like, if they just ask themselves who benefits from these narratives, I mean, they would come to the conclusion themselves, but they just don't want to see reality. And I also posted the link to the space if anyone wants to filter in. We'll probably start it up soon. The person who was requesting come back and request again, but yeah, I mean, it's really unfortunate because these schools are seemingly able to just leverage their massive endowments and then their massive amount of influence, and no one really does anything. I mean, I doubt they're going to see any dip in applications. I doubt they're going to see any real consequences for their action, and that is what allows them, and that's what tells them that they can do this. I mean, regardless of the fact that they can fund themselves without, the intervention from the government, they don't care to. Nothing's going to happen to them. Columbia was able to do this. They were able to crack down on these students, and because of the fact that they know people aren't going to stop applying, people aren't going to stop donating to them, they can act and do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, I mean, I I don't think. Oh, can you hear me?
Yep.
What is happening? Oh, I know what I did. Sorry. For some reason, so I was trying to click something on the space, and I accidentally started playing our live stream.
Oh,
So like when I heard you say like whatever the hell they want twice, I thought you'd actually said it, but it was an echo. I'm stupid.
yeah.
Um, I'm just trying to get into this space for a second. But yeah, so I don't think people recognize something very important about this. They will not stop unless we stop them.
Hmm.
We have to be very, 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 very uh, particular and clear about that. We have to say it all the time. They are going to do what's in their interest unless we figure out a way to stop it. And that's what the American Communist Party is dedicated to doing,
Hmm.
putting the working class in power where it belongs.
Absolutely.
On that note, why don't we open it up the space for our first speaker?
Yep. Tell me when you're streaming it so I can mute myself on
Yeah,
StreamYard.
let me get that going right now. Actually,
1 sec. Let me open my window.
all right, we're good, brother.
Yep. Let me mute myself real quick.
Yo, webcast. Oh, you guys can't see it. It's tiny up there, isn't it? That's okay. I put on a post by Shattering Hegemony that talks about the Good Morning Revolution webcast. It's sort of inside baseball, but you guys get it. Anyway, all right. Why don't you bring up the first guest? Who do we got?
Yeah, just 1 sec. I'm making sure they can hear me on the stream. Just let me know. I'm gonna mute myself and then tell
Sure.
me if you can still hear me.
We'll give him a second, everybody. Like we're streaming it. We're ready to go. We're just waiting on Sebastian.
Yeah, maybe my audio isn't doubled, but then is the audio coming? Oh, I'm not.
I
I'm not.
think you're.
I'm not joined as a co-host. That's why. Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
There we go.
I sent you a request. You gotta
Yeah. Yeah.
add
Yeah.
that.
Yep. I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm muting myself and then muting myself on stream. We should be good.
Yeah,
Hello. Hello.
yeah,
Yep.
you're good, brother. Can everyone hear him?
Okay. Cool. And then now we have two people requesting to speak. One is Karen Darren McLaren, and then one is seemingly an ACP member, Admiral Mass. So it's up to you.
What am I? Okay, I think we're good. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, we have two people requesting to join. One is seemingly an ACP member, Admiral Mass, and then the other one is Karen Darren McLaren. So it's up to you who you want to take first.
Give us 1 second. We got a question. Anonymous on the YouTube asks how to join ACP. Go to acp.us/join.
Hmm. I'll put the link.
That'll tell you the requirements and all that good stuff. So okay, Amaran Mass is not ACP cadre, just so we know. But they have our logo. So obviously a fan. What's up?
I'll
Is that
accept them
who
then. Yeah.
who you brought up?
Yep. They have to accept a speaker request though.
I think they're gone.
Are they gone? Oh, okay. I'll accept the other speaker then.
All right.
If you come back, we'll accept you if you're still listening.
You are accepted. Sorry, that was me being dumb.
Yeah, we accepted you, Karen. Yep.
Karen McLaren or
Hi,
whatever.
can you hear me?
We can
Yeah,
hear
what's
you.
up?
What's up?
Hi guys. I was debating some of your members, and they insisted that I have to bring this debate into your public space, or I don't know, this discussion or debate. And now I'm here, and I actually don't know what it's supposed to debate. So maybe questions
Okay,
from other people.
Well, how about this? The floor is yours. What issue do you have with us?
I have issue that American Communist Party sounds too fascist and too Nazist and too nationalistic and promoting ideas that is obviously false.
Okay. So let's tackle one of these claims first. Pick one of those three things.
False claims about DPRK, China,
Okay. So
and
what false claim about China do you think we're promoting?
I think those countries, DPRK is not in any way socialist state, and China is definitely not on its way to communism and not a socialist state.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
it's obvious that copy capitalist state.
Okay. So um let's focus on one, and I personally know more about China. So what makes you think that China isn't a communist country?
What makes you think that China is a communist country? At least something.
What? Well, according to Marxism and the Marxist view, communism isn't some set of policies, right? And I'm a Marxist, so I'm going to give you the Marxist view. Communism isn't like some future society that we pull from our heads and try to force reality to become. It is instead a process, just as capitalism is. While capitalism is based on the MCM circuit, right? Um, this this is a contradiction in itself. That's a whole nother bag of bananas. But capitalist society, the contradiction it exists as, the process it exists as, grows so acute that it becomes impossible to move on. Communist society is the society that follows after that. So Marx calls communism basically the real movement of history. And this is what China is doing. It's moving history forward. Now, it does that through a proletarian dictatorship embodied within the Communist Party of China, who are overwhelmingly popular with the people. That's not always been the case, but it is now. It does that through planning its economy on behalf of the people, which you can see just as an example, the poverty alleviation campaigns. They've eliminated more poverty than any other force in all of human history. So that's how
Thanks to
I see them
capitalism.
as communist.
No, it is not. Absolutely not.
What are you saying? They didn't end more poverty than anything else in human history?
You completely misread Marx in this particular
Okay, okay. Hold on.
state. State.
Let me get the quote. Hold on.
No, the question is not about the quote. The question is not about to follow directly by Marx's footsteps. Lenin and Stalin created the whole theory after Marx to even try to implement socialism here in Russia, in USSR, and they failed because of obvious reasons. And now you think that because Marx said something, therefore this over and over, etc. Also, there is a false claim that capitalism is a journey. It's not a journey. It's capitalism is something that was described while it already was established and happening, and how to say it,
Okay,
in
hold on.
process.
You're going all over the place again. Let's center in. Um, the reason I gave you the Marxist view of what communism is because I view it as a Marxist. I'm a Marxist. Lenin and Stalin were Marxists and viewed it the same way I do. Marx says in the German ideology, and can you post a link for him? He says, communism is for us not a state of affairs which is to be established, an ideal to which reality will have to adjust itself. We call communism the real movement which negates the present state of things. The conditions of this movement result from the premises now in existence. So basically, what Marx is saying is that what will be can only be based on what is. You bring up Stalin, and I want to reference him to sort of prove this to you. He wrote a book called Economic Problems of Socialism in USSR. In this, he explains that you can't just get away with the laws governing the universe, right? And some of those laws are economic laws, like the law of value, right? That you can't just like sort of abolish it because you want to. What you can do instead is use it in a way that drives society forward and benefits the whole people, the working class, whatever. This is what both the Soviet Union did and China do. So it's
no, Soviet Union does not did that.
okay. So I don't understand. Are you claiming the Soviet Union didn't raise living standards?
Soviet Union did not follow with the ideas of Stalin himself. And I can assure you that Mao never followed through with the same path, let's say,
Which
that
ideas?
you imply.
What? Okay, so I'll agree with you on de-Stalinization being a horrible mistake, and possible counter-revolution. That's another bag of bananas. But
Okay.
if you look at the YouTube comments right now, by the way, you can get the link to the German ideology for that quote. But regardless, especially during the Stalin era, the living standards in the Soviet Union went up like crazy,
I'm
even
sorry.
as they were fighting the Nazis.
Let me stop you here. Living standards was raised under the capitalism perfectly well. No relations to socialism and the path to socialism. In every country in the world, as every capitalist claiming right now, we lived out of poverty, billions of people. It's
So how
not
can you explain
argument.
the rise of India and rise of China?
It's
seen what
not,
China's been
and
able to do.
I'm trying to tell you, raising from poverty, it is not an argument.
Sure, it is.
Because capitalism did the same.
Yeah, well, no.
You're trying
If I were alive in say 1776, I would be supporting the Sons of Liberty, right? If I were alive in Russia in 1917, I would be supporting the Bolsheviks. It's not that, like, I think you're viewing it in a very abstract way that sort of divorces where we are in the history of development from everything else. Like I was saying, that Marx said, right? What will be can only be based in what is, and what is can only be based in what was, right? So it's all a process of development. Like the whole idea, we don't do communism because we think the ideas are cool. We do it because it's necessary to move society forward. It's just the word we use to describe that moving forward, just as capitalism moved forward from the periods before it. And it did expand the productive forces like nothing before it. But now communism has done that again. I think you're just sort of, but now communism has done that again. It has.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Capitalism outlives its usefulness for humanity, right, and becomes a fetter on itself.
Yes. So, what communism have to do with
hold
this?
on. You gotta let me finish my sentence. As capitalism outlives its usefulness, it becomes a fetter upon itself, sort of disallowing our technology to move forward, our productive forces to move forward, people's living standards begin dropping, etc., like in America right now. Communism is the solution to that, right? It's what comes after that, is what I'm trying to explain to you. And this happened in every communist revolution, and it will happen in America too. So you gotta understand that communism isn't a set of
I understand. Let me interrupt you, please.
Okay, go ahead.
don't question you about the process. I understand perfectly how the process is going, and what's supposed to be done, and what must be done, etc., and how we will achieve communism. I understand everything or every of this. What question do I have to American Communist Party is that neither in North Korea nor in China, not even in USSR, where I was born, and at no stage country transferred towards socialism, even socialism stage, not even communism. Today I
Okay.
have this
Okay.
problem with your
Okay. Hold
party.
on. I'm gonna
Sorry,
cut you off here.
sorry.
Hold on. Hold on, buddy.
Let
Buddy,
me
hold on. Hold
small
on. Because I want to
small
speed this up
edition.
to give enough room for other people to speak after this. So I apologize for cutting you off, but what is it that you think socialism is that you think this has not happened? That might help. Like, what would your qualifier be to say, okay, they had done socialism?
He used to unmute himself.
You got to unmute yourself, buddy. We muted you because you just couldn't stop.
When people mean own means of production, of course.
Okay, so where I'm not sure like where anyone's written that this is what socialism is, but that's okay. How
It's first step.
it's what?
It's first step.
It's but yeah, who said that? Like where do you get this from? Because for me, I use socialism the way like Lenin did, right? Where there's
From every
different senses of the word.
from every communist that I met before you, before your party.
I get you. Okay.
Every
Well,
communist.
okay. Well, maybe my interpretation is different than theirs. But I see Lenin saying that socialism is monopoly, state monopoly capitalism turned to serve the proletariat in one instance. I see him say socialism is Soviet power plus electrification in another instance. I see.
But we not in 20th century already.
Yeah, well, but what I'm trying to make you understand that it's always contextual, right? And the general thing that he's describing a particular form of is just a society serving society itself.
May I say
You gotta
let's
stop
say
interrupting, man. Come on. I'm trying to like concretize a point for you because I think I see your issue. What you're doing is mistaking particular senses of words for general senses, right? And so when we talk about socialism in a general sense, then we talk about whether a country is socialist or not. When we talk about it in a particular sense, then we're speaking of the particular conditions within that country, right? So when Lenin says that socialism would be Soviet power plus electrification, he's describing that same general thing that was the society serving society itself in the particular conditions within the Soviet Union at that time. The word socialism itself, and here's my major point for you. The word socialism itself is first used, if I recall correctly, by Robert Owen, right? And he was one of the three great utopians that Engels criticized. And he used it actually to Thomas Jefferson, believe it or not. And he basically used it as the end of liberalism. Whereas liberalism was individual, socialism was social. It was no longer basing things in the views and interests of an individual or many individuals, but society overall. Now, this is precisely what the Soviet Union did throughout its history, even in the revisionist period. This is what China does now, and this is what Free Korea does now, etc. When I call them communist or socialist countries, it's never describing particular conditions because it's a general word. Does that make sense for you?
no, absolutely not.
Okay. Well, I can give you some like Marxist texts to kind of help walk you through the dialectics
Let,
of individual
let
and
me
general if
make
you
it
want.
easier. Let me make it easier for you. I will finish, and you will talk about yourself. My problem with you, with your party, not only this, of course, but the fascist and nationalistic
Okay, well,
problems. But
here's the thing though. Here's the
let
thing
me
though,
just finish, and
Aaron,
I'll go.
my friend, you couldn't prove the one problem you had was a real problem just now because I explained it to you,
You
and then you just kind
you
of
you don't let me
tossed it
finish.
aside and didn't and said you didn't understand.
You
Now I can help you
you don't let
understand, but I can't
you don't let me
sort of
finish.
um, I can help you understand. I can give you, Marxist texts that explain it better than I can in a few minutes, but I can't let you just ignore that I explained your issue.
Why do you think you explained it?
I mean, how did I not? I explained how Lenin used the word socialism. I explained the actual beginning and roots of the word socialism. I explained your mistake, which is the realms, the philosophical categories of general and particular or universal in particular. There's a Soviet philosopher
Exactly.
who has a very short paper on this called On the Universal. His name's Evald Ilyenkov. I want you to look him up and read that paper, and I
Who
think you'll get it.
who again? Who again? Who?
His name's
Name.
yeah, Evald Ilyenkov, and the paper's called On the Universe.
Bulgarian. Bulgarian.
No, no, no. He's Russian, I believe.
Russian.
Yes,
Ilyenkov.
Ilyenkov. Yeah, he was from the 70s in the Soviet Union.
Okay.
He's a major
Let me
inspiration for me theoretically.
let me say two words in as we wrap it up. The problem is you trying to sell the members of Communist Party or American Communist Party the wrong idea that communism, that China moving in right direction and DPRK is moving in right direction, and therefore you providing a bad examples where not to go, and therefore you misleading your members. That is my problem, and your philosophical, let's say, explanation of things is absolutely contradict with everything I know about communism from communists.
Well, have you ever considered that maybe you were wrong?
They were wrong.
Sure, or they were wrong. I don't know who your teachers were. Um,
And not my teachers. I'm not a communist.
okay.
I'm not a communist.
Well, maybe you weren't paying close enough attention or you didn't ask the right questions. I don't know your history, brother. But I do know the history of the word socialism, and I know how Lenin used it. I know how Stalin used it. And often it was in a particular sense, but it was always within a context. Stalin himself began using the phrase victories of socialism to refer to the particular sense because of confusion in the general sense, right?
How
So
how
regarding
does
your
the
thing on the
USSR
wrong
handle?
direction, have you ever thought that maybe because you don't really understand this stuff and you've never tried to learn it, maybe you've been wrong
No,
the entire
wait,
time?
wait a minute.
I,
But
I think
how USSR ended up in capitalism?
no, I agree. The USSR fell, obviously. But I think that your view of China and Free Korea might be a bit limited and based in maybe a bit of anti-communist propaganda, etc. Um,
I
Chinese
don't listen to
history.
anti-communist propaganda.
I'm sorry.
I don't listen to anti-communist propaganda.
Well, you're saying
I
you're
live,
giving me
I
a
live,
socialism argument, so I feel like maybe you
I
are.
live, I live right next to both China and North Korea.
Okay.
I have conversations with both. I visited China. I I don't know where you found communism there, even something remotely
How about
close
Chongqing?
to
How about
communism.
Beijing? How about Shanghai?
I was
One of
only
my
in
one of my
one country.
closest friends was just
Shanghai is total capitalism.
one of my closest friends was just in China. And I think maybe you're just, for you, maybe it's just an issue of definitions and words, right? If you want to call it something
No,
else, be my guest. I don't care. But communists call it communism, just like, or socialism, just like the Communist Party of China does, which is arguably the most powerful political force in the world right now. So
that's
if we're going to
ridiculous.
like sort of, I mean, I never tell anyone to take people at their word, but if we're going to listen to someone rather than use the critical thinking I just displayed, I would prefer listening to that most powerful political force in the world rather than someone random on the internet. No offense, man.
So you trying to say that because party said something is, you will accept it as it is because it have communist in the name.
No,
Why not? You just said so.
no. I just said if we're going to like sort of just listen to someone
No,
without reason,
but
because what you did was give me something without reason. I would prefer someone who's established themselves, someone who's ended more poverty than any other force in human history, and has
but that's
of
ridiculous.
making cities that look like fucking sci-fi movies, man. How many
But
cities have
that's
you built?
ridiculous.
How many
That's
cities have you built?
that's American sensationalism.
Let me just ask you, how
You
many
you like
let me just
you
ask you
piece
a
of
question, Karen. Karen, how many cities have you built?
does it matter?
So it's is it none? I assume it's none. How many people have you lifted out
Wait,
of poverty?
but 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 then you have to simply submit to American government because it built even more cities and even
I
more
live in it,
powerful.
buddy. You should come to America. Our cities are falling apart.
Of course they are because you started before China. China just built those cities and they already falling apart. I was in this city.
Okay,
I
so
was in the city that
you're
is
telling
falling
me
apart
Beijing
in
is
front of my
already
eyes.
falling apart? My man,
Yes,
come on. We
yes.
gotta live in reality here.
What you mean? I was in the city that is already falling apart while buildings are new.
All right. All right. I think that that'll do it for us tonight, Karen. Thanks. Um, wow.
So,
Wow. I look, I can't take lying. Like I'm fine having any argument, but when you start trying to tell me like they're falling apart like America is, come on, dude.
Like,
Like
I'm sure there are
we
old
gotta be
buildings.
honest. Uh that was something, huh, Sebastian?
Yeah.
All right. uh that was fun. Who do we have next?
Uh, I said that Admiral Mass would be next.
Amaran Mass. What's up? Come on up.
You able to accept?
Oh, we're gonna deny this Nightwalker person. We don't do fake accounts. Sorry. Go on your regular account, please. But yeah, Amaran Mass, come on up.
Admiral, you here?
You gotta actually accept the thing.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think socialism is, if not just success for the people on real terms? Like,
I think
if the Chinese people are supporting them at over 90%, I mean, I don't know how this isn't a system that's working for them.
dude, Zoya Zoya tells us his timeline is just all anime. Of course it is. Why are they always weirdos, man? I don't get it. But it's look, uh it's crazy to me. I mean the problem is
I think he was able to get in as a speaker.
what was that?
He was able to get in as a speaker.
Who was?
Admiral.
Oh, Abraham, what's
Hello,
up?
hello.
Yeah, come on. What do you,
Yeah,
what,
sorry about that, guys. I don't know what was going on. My app was really delayed in bringing me on. It
No
just
worries,
brought me
brother.
on now.
oh shit, that's weird. Okay. Well, welcome. Uh how you doing?
I'm doing well. I mean, I I don't think that guy was.
Oh, are you there?
Oh.
I think he may have.
Bill says he's here, but maybe he lagged out.
He may have lagged out. Yeah, it might be your thing. Yeah, look, I'm fine with anyone.
Hello?
Oh, there
Yep,
you are.
yep, I got
Okay.
you back.
Yeah, you cut out on us for a minute. All right. Well, maybe try disconnecting and reconnecting, Amaran. If you
That'll.
can hear me. Let's slot him back down.
Apparently, the Nightwalker account is someone in the chat.
What was that?
This Pavel is saying that the Nightwalker account is his.
Oh, that's who?
Yeah, this chatter.
I don't know who that is.
No.
Oh, in our thing.
Yeah, in our YouTube chat.
Oh, Pavel. Okay,
Mhm.
if it's Pavel, tell him to come back. That's fine.
Yep.
Am I still here?
Yep.
Yeah,
Do you have any
here.
questions or
Try
something?
disconnecting and coming back, brother, because you're cutting.
Um,
It should be fine now.
Okay, go ahead.
No, he's a listener now. I'm gonna accept him again.
Yeah, just we can't. We don't have all night, unfortunately. Oh, I see
Yeah,
you
and if
there.
it doesn't
Rich.
end up
What's up?
working, we can always get it next week. We'll be streaming on Thursday. The space will open around 7:15.
Yes, definitely. But so what I was saying about this guy Karen, the problem beyond like working backwards from conclusions, like this guy just wanted to hate something he didn't understand, right? The problem is not it's thinking metaphysically. It's the thing that Engels just tears to shreds right in the first section of Anti-Düring when he talks about people who their thinking is rigid and things happen one after the other. Opposite poles necessarily contradict and never become each other, etc. Where he says, their thinking is yay, yay, nay, nay. And that's what it is. Things can't be at one time something and something else. They can't grasp that, right? So they can't understand that socialism and communism aren't some form of utopianism that we just like better than other forms, right? And so they glom on to whatever this guy said that communists told it, right? Which maybe was something similar to whatever was in his mind, maybe wasn't. After he began lying, I can't trust anything he said, right? And that's what really bothers me. Like when you get so convinced that you're correct about something that you just shut your brain off and begin lying to try to convince someone, you're automatically wrong in some way. And if you can't interrogate that yourself, I got no time for you, because at that point, you're one, trying to manipulate me, which isn't cool, and two, talking at me rather than with me. If you guys noticed, he didn't actually address literally anything I said. He just went past it, said he didn't get it, and I was wrong, which means he may not have even been listening, right?
And this guy was European. He said he got all his information from communists in his personal life. But I mean, I don't know what the hell they told them, but from my personal experiences, there aren't very many Europeans who know what the hell they're talking about regarding communism.
Yeah, no kidding. I just saw Carlos. I want to see if let's see if we can get him to come join us.
That'd be perfect, because I have to hop out in a second.
Yeah, I was gonna say like family first, brother. If you got to go because your pops, by all means, man. We're probably gonna wrap up if Carlos can't join us anyway, because we've been going about 2 hours. And well, I can go late today because I don't have work tomorrow. Unfortunately, Sebastian, like you said, has a family thing. So, yeah. And look, Lorshek says something good here on the YouTube. He says liberals and groypers finally united again in warning about evil communism. When it comes down to it, I want all you guys to just toss aside all the labels. They get in the way. Look at which forces align. There are the workers and there are the enemies of the workers. That's it.
Yeah.
In material reality, when we strip away all the bullshit, all the marketing, all the whatever, window dressing, there is the worker and there is the enemy of the worker.
hmm And you can tell, I mean, who's serious about this stuff and who's realistically just addicted to fucking losing. Because if we took their metaphysical idea of what communism is supposed to be and just waved a magic wand, applied that in real life, these countries would collapse upon themselves. They
Mhm.
wouldn't be able to withstand, the US is declining, but it can still topple over a country that, tries to completely eliminate all of, capital.
Yeah. No, absolutely. By the way, Carlos texted me back. He can't come. He's got family stuff too. Carlos is a father of young children, so that's common in his house. But yeah, okay. Well, why don't we wrap up for the night? Unless there's anyone else who wants to talk. Oh, we got a request.
Yep, Admiral Mass is back.
Okay,
Uh,
let's see if his computer's working.
yep. Are you able to handle this? I might jump
Yeah,
in
yeah.
here.
Go ahead, brother. We're good.
All right. Thanks, everyone, and we'll be back next week on Thursday. If you guys want to join the space, should be open 7 p.m.
Hello?
7:15. Yep, we
Awesome.
can hear you.
Have a good night, brother. We'll talk to you soon. What's up, Admiral? How you doing?
Yeah, is my connection stable now?
Yes, I can actually hear you. Amazing.
Okay, that's great. I don't know what is going on. The bases were working on my X app last night, so I don't know what's going on. What happened right before?
I don't know. Let's change my view though. Hold up. I don't like this view. Well, it don't matter. Let's do it this way. There we go. So what's up? What do you got for us, brother?
Yeah, I think that debates like with that guy, where he's just spouting the same sort of tired anti-communist, anti-ACP arguments, just shows like we need a straight up mass on social media to individually, like one-on-one, address these people. But I think right now the community of supporters for the party is too small to really deal with the amount of like InfoWar social media work we need to be able to deal with.
Mm. Yeah, well, here's the thing. We are a young organization, right? The party was only reconstituted less than a year ago. Now we've had unprecedented growth since then. But remember, the Communist Party of China was started with 20 dudes in a basement. We started with more. So we're growing rapidly, but you're right that we're taking on an overwhelmingly better armed opponent.
Yes.
When we speak of the information war, the ruling class owns all of the infrastructure, right? There's a reason, posts that attack or lie about the party blow up when it's accounts that have like 100 followers and the only people liking their posts are their buddies. Like, there's nothing wrong with that kind of account, but when they blow up and suddenly go like super viral, and this happens over and over and over again, there's something fishy going. And even if it's somewhat organic, it has to be addressed, and we have to meticulously deconstruct all of their narratives. We need to overwhelm them, which means we need people who can be dedicated to doing that. That's all just to say that's a good idea and something we've already been considering and looking at how to build.
Well, I think that like a lot of people on social media that are pro ACP, I don't think that they're even in the party as even like a reserve. They're just basically volunteering. They're like fellow travelers. They're doing it out of their love and loyalty to the party. I think I've been thinking about how to grow that particular community of, like, I guess, fellow travelers or supporters of the party that aren't themselves in the party, because I think that will, like, that already is the backbone of the party's social media work online, right?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. If I had time, brother, I would join you. I don't. But if that's what you're doing, I wish you all the good fortune in the world in that endeavor. You know, it's important. I think oftentimes we don't think about the interconnection between on the ground organizing work and information war work. Like, there's a reason that Lenin and Marx and Engels and all of these Mao, all of these people were writing constantly, right? It's because that was the medium in which the information war was fought in their era. In ours, it's on the internet, right? And it's in live streams like this. I'm sure if Lenin had access to live streaming, he would have been doing it, right?
Yes, letting the live streamer.
Crazy to think, but it's kind of true, you know? So we have my streams, we have Hasan's streams, we have Eddie's streams, we have all these different things that they help, but all of it relies on the support base, right? And building and growing that support base. And we don't realize how much that ties into our on the ground work and how people perceive us. Right? So when I was talking in the intro, a lot of it was about how we're perceived and how important that is. That form and content are both important, not just one or the other.
I think what is missing in how the ACP community, and I'm using that term to basically encompass everybody who supports the ACP. What's missing in our community's social media work is this focus on bringing people that are interested in the party into an online space that the party controls. Like, for instance, the Midwestern Marks Discord. And really focusing on having like this intermediate sort of step between somebody like seeing an ACP like meme or ACP media on social media and then getting interested and then finally going to acp.us and joining the party. I think there has to be like this sort of, there has to be basically like a funnel.
Yeah, I get you. It reminds me of, so I used to play a lot of sports, right? It reminds me of when I played high school football and soccer, the boosters, right? Where we had boosters for the football team. They were parents and family and friends and stuff that would go out and support the team, do advertisements and fundraise. And then when, new kids came in, they would end up joining the team when they were old enough or whatever it was, right? Something like a boosters Discord would be awesome. I would love to see something like that. That'd be cool. The party does not run any Discords though. Now, the Midwestern Marks Discord, the Infrared Discord, these are places that people come to and then go and join the party. I used to try to funnel people into the Midwestern Marks Discord through this stream, but honestly, X Spaces are just so much more visible that it's really just better to do an X Space than Discord voice chats for the stream.
Oh, I'm not saying that. I agree with the X Space. Like, the X Spaces are way more visible. But then I'm not saying like don't do X Spaces. I'm saying do X Spaces and then also maybe like drop a link. Like, you know how on the larger X Spaces they have the nest at the very top where they can broadcast like a specific tweet to the entire audience. So maybe like you could advertise, you could link a post with the Discord link, the Discord invite to Midwestern Marks in the nest.
Not a bad idea,
then-
brother.
So then you can use the X Spaces as a way to funnel people into the Discord.
Yeah, I think that's very cool. And we, you know, with our Discord, we got someone else requesting, so we're gonna, and I don't have like all night, so this will be the last thing we talk about. But when me and Eddie first started the Midwestern Marks Discord, oh, Michelle, thank you for the super sticker, brother. That's awesome. When we first started the Discord, we had no idea whatsoever what we were doing, right? And it was a mess. You know, like anti-communists sort of infiltrated it and tried to ruin it. We had to purge a bunch of people and kept it private for a long time, but now it's open to the public again. So anyone, by the way, who wants to go, it's discord.gg/Midwestern Marks, all lowercase, very easy. But yeah, so thank you for that. I'm going to bring somebody else up now.
Well, right before I go, can I get unbanned from the Discord? Unbanned from the Discord.
Yeah, just ask whoever the mods are, or send me a DM and I'll get you in contact with them. I don't mod the Discord myself.
All right.
Cool. All right, brother. Thank you very much. All right, we got one more person requesting. Let's get them up here. Douglas Hitchgraves. What's up, man? How you doing? You gotta unmute yourself, I believe. Oh, and you gotta accept the request too. There you go. You got it.
I got it. Hopefully you can hear me now.
Oh, you are. Are you at the bottom of a lake?
No, I was too trouble with the.
Possibly, maybe like inside a grave. I cannot hear a word, man. Oh, sorry, man. That's rough. I hope you can fix your stuff and come back, but we can't do that, man. That was so garbled. Couldn't understand a word. Oh, let me actually remove you though. Sorry, brother. I apologize. Remove. For some reason it won't remove. I don't know why. That's okay. Well, yeah. So a couple things before we kind of wrap up for the night. That like debate we had earlier, I want to really draw your guys' attention to that, because that is sort of the epitome of anti-communists. That's how they act. That's the extent of their knowledge. And it is up to us, not always to convince them they were wrong, though if you can, do that, but to show that what they think they know is horribly wrong. And we understand how the world works, that we are in a position to help organize people to overthrow our ruling class. Think about that. How ambitious that is. That we want the elites and parasites out and regular working class people in. That's huge. And so when people think they have some crazy view of why communism is bad or whatever, hear them out. I guarantee you, every single time, they will be wrong. This guy didn't even understand what communism or socialism was. And then when I told him to sort of explain why he thought China was fascist or whatever the fuck, he couldn't. And when I explained what socialism and communism actually are, I showed him how Marx viewed it. I gave him, some things that Lenin and Marx and Engels had said. He ignored every single word. This is how they operate. Always make them respond to you. Make them respond. You do that, and you let me walk that back. Never start a fight. But when the fights come to you or your comrades, make goddamn sure you finish it. This is why we have education programs. I want all of you able to do just exactly what I did to this guy here in your own way, right? Or go even harder, like tear them to shreds the way Haas does, right? I've never seen somebody that debates better than Haas. He's good at it. You know why he's good at it, though? It's the same reason I'm pretty good at it. Because he cares about the cause. He believes in this party, in our class, and in the ability of this country to be something more than it is. On that note, I think I'm going to leave you guys for the night. We will see you next week on Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern. And we already have an awesome stream planned for that. I won't give anything away, but it'll be a big one. So have a good week. Stay in the fight and fucking finish it. See y'all guys on Thursday.
Stand up, all victims of oppression, for the tyrants fear your might. Don't cling so hard to your possessions, for you have nothing if you have no right. Let racist ignorance be ended, for respect makes the empires fall. Freedom is merely privilege extended, unless enjoyed by one and all. So come, brothers and sisters, for the struggle carries on. The International unites the world in the song. So comrades, come rally, for this is the time and place. The international ideal unites the human race. Let no one build walls to divide us, walls of hatred nor walls of stone. Come greet the dawn and stand beside us. We'll live together or we'll die alone. In our world poisoned by exploitation, those who have taken, now they must give. And end the vanity of nations. We've but one earth on which to live. So come, brothers and sisters, for the struggle carries on. The International unites the world in the song. So comrades, come rally, for this is the time and place. The international ideal unites the human race. And so begins the final drama, in the streets and in the fields. We stand unbowed before their armor, we defy their guns and shields. When we fight, provoked by their aggression, let us be inspired by life and love. For though they offer us concessions, change will not come from above. So come, brothers and sisters, for the struggle carries on. The International unites the world in a song. So come,